we're shacking around tonight. It is next on Live Free and Ham. Hello and welcome to Live Free and Ham podcast. This is our bi-weekly show during which we discuss ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. And whether you're a regular listener or our first-time guest, we are excited to have you here and appreciate your support. And thanks for tuning in tonight's episode. So let's get into the show like we always do. I'm your host, Eric, call sign N1JUR, and I'm with my hosts.
Hey, it's Paul, N1OJ.
And it's the General, W1STJ Todd.
I'm never tired of that. All right, so before we usually get into our topic, we've got a few things we'd like to catch up on as always. You know, if you haven't headed over yet, you should always check out our storefront at livefreeandham.com/shop, as we always are working towards getting more t-shirt ideas up there and improving on the ones that we have. And there's always something new to check out. So if you haven't been up there in a while, you definitely need to get a head over there and see if you can find something you might like to wear. Because again, we are all sporting Live Free and Ham official gear. As always, I'm wearing the original OG hat. Paul and Todd are wearing the camo version of that same hat. And, you know, it's a great hat. You know, I don't know about you guys. I love it. I'll wear it every time.
Yeah, I love this hat.
Dude, I'm about ready to buy another one because mine's getting really salty.
I was going to say, you took it hiking up the mountain, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that hat's going to get ruined. The sweat from his brow is going to be so deep in that. But it's machine washable, dude. Throw it in there. It'll survive. So we'll be good.
It's a flex fit, so it's great.
This hat is probably the best. What is it? What is this one called?
Flex fit.
Flex fit. It's got to be the best baseball cap I've had in a long time. I don't even know if I've ever had one that's better. I love it. It fits perfect.
Totally.
Well made.
All right. Well, as always, if you haven't head over there, please head on over there. Check us out. Check out some of our merch. Pick some up. And like we said, you will not be disappointed. So, as always, we love feedback too. So if you are a texting person, you can always review our show via SMS. Text us, say hello, tell us you picked you just started listening to us, or maybe you've been a listener forever. All you have to do is click that link in your podcast player of choice, looking at the show notes, and boom, you'll be able to text us right there. It takes 2 seconds to do. Let us know if you've heard, you've heard our cries and you want to, contribute. Just, we want you guys to be part of the community. This is one way to do it. We're also throwing on some future ideas in coming up. So pay attention to those, because there might be a couple other ways you can help contribute to the show and leave a review, or just, tell us, what your favorite story is, or, favorite color, or, radio. I don't care. We want to hear about it. All right. And so there's obviously one other way you can get involved in the Live Free and Ham community, and that is over on our Discord server. We don't usually talk about that a whole lot, but it has actually been super active. We've got a lot of members just recently been joining. And I think as we start to see more people pop on, I'm going to do a little small, segment here and just introduce them and give them shout outs so they know that we care and love them, and that, we're glad that they're joining our Discord, but come be part of, what we're doing over there. It's always a blast. And I enjoy hanging out in our Discord and all the people that are over there, and you can come be part of that too. So the link, if you need to, if you just head over to livefreeandham.com, down at the very bottom of our footer page is the click on the Discord, and you can join right from there. And we'd love to have you, show up. So cool. Come be part of the community. And one of our favorite things, as we're starting to tell more and more people about, if you're looking to get more Live Free and Ham in your life, and who isn't? I'm telling you, who doesn't want more Live Free and Ham? You got a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and dessert. We're all that and more. Or a bag of chips, as they say, however you want to look at it. So with that, the one way you can get more of us is you can head over to our Patreon page, and if you subscribe, and there are multiple levels to subscribe at, so there's something for everybody. You'll always get early access to all of our episodes that we air way before they actually go out, because we are on a bi-weekly stream. But some of that time may change, but you'll be able to get early access to that stuff. And now we are doing an unfettered raw cut recording of our show as we go on. So you get to hear all the banter and all of the complaining and moaning and groaning us, almost 50-year-olds and 50-year-old plus folks complain about 80 meters here. So we're calling it our 80-meter banter before we actually start our, episode here. So come check that out. And we are actually going to hopefully be integrating in a private live access to a chat on our Discord. So when we record, we'll fire up that chat, and we'll have you guys live stream, or we'll have this live stream to that private chat. If you're part of our Patreon listeners, you'll be able to hear us and be part of that and contribute. And one more way you can connect with us. So a lot of cool stuff's going on. We're having fun with it, and so we want you to come be part of it and check it out. That's all I have to say. Just check it out, find out, learn more.
That'll be kind of cool. So we'll be live streaming before it gets edited. You could be in the chat, and then we'll edit it, and then they'll go out on the podcast. So you'll get to see all the mistakes.
Yeah, so it's
we made.
a private live stream.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Totally. Yep. So we're working on that. It's coming soon. So you want to make sure you want to get into that action, then head over to our Patreon page, check it out. All right. Well, so as always, let's go to our first option here.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Hey everybody, we got some news.
Slow down, Boog. Let me handle this. We've got some news. I've got bad news and bad news.
I have reviewed ship's personnel, Captain.
Congratulations, you've got...
Oh, he's looking in the mailbag. Is there anything?
Nope. Sorry.
Okay.
Nothing. Now, I get a lot of email. A lot. And the one emails that I'm looking for, I don't get. I get political emails. I get things I signed up for that I don't remember signing up for emails. Every once in a while, I'll get an email from a friend, but not from you guys. I haven't gotten one in a couple weeks. So send me an email. Make me look for it. Because as I look for it, I delete all the junk that I get anyway, and I won't be deleting yours. I'll be saving it in a special folder so we can talk about it here on Live Free and Ham.
Roger that.
Heck yes. I'd vote for you.
Yep. I totally vote for you, Todd. That's the way I go look at it. So if you haven't, you need to just, make Todd's day better. Send a review, say hello, tell him you're listening, you're hearing his cries. Send us a review. We love to hear from you. Let us know how we're doing. And as always, we appreciate it. If you have sent one in the past, we thank you. But keep them coming, guys, because we enjoy doing this show, and we want to know that you guys do as well. So with that, we go into
Doing good. Doing good.
You do, that's good.
You good? You good?
You're doing good.
Absolutely, I do. Good.
Doing good, Bob. Doing real good.
Right now, my only outlet is my ham radio.
That's totally the truth, man. My outlet is my ham radio, as my wife would say. Get off the damn ham radio and pay attention to me. Just the way it goes in this household. But anyway, so with that, comes our Do Good episode. It is an episode that I have something that's so near and dear to my heart. And I'm sad to report, like Todd, we had nothing, no Do Goods in a while. And I know we've been hard on you guys. I know we've been basically pushing and telling you guys got to get off your asses and do something about it and tell us what's going on in your lives from a ham radio perspective. And no, it's crickets. I don't have a cricket sound. I just need to get one next. So, my advice is we're going to stay doing this because there is value with this. We all believe in this. We know there's some good stuff out there. So, take a second or two, send us a quick email at livefreeandham@gmail.com. Or if you're as lazy as it can be, you can head over to our website at livefreeandham.com/do good. Fill in the form. It'll come right to us. We'll read it and we'll be rejoicing with you. We'll be excited. We'll share all of our, tears and sorrow and joys and everything that goes with it. Just put it in paper, digital form. Do something. I don't know, before I, have a, aneurysm or something and keel over. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen is I have to reach that level.
We'll get them next time.
I have to reach that level so everyone feels bad, and then they have to start sending it in so I don't, have another episode. So,
if you keeled over, then that would be the end of Live Free and Ham because no one else knows how to run it.
You guys would have to carry on. It's in the clause in the insurance rider. They must carry on the torch. Did you know about that, Paul?
I haven't done it yet. I may do it. If this doesn't work out, probably I will do it. I would almost say definitely.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it. Maybe.
So with that, please let us share your Do Good episode with us. We are going to keep pestering you until it happens. And once it does, you guys will all be better for it. I guarantee it. So, all right. Well, enough beating that dead horse. Let's move on to our usual productive, fun episode segment.
And now for something a little extra with Todd, W1STJ.
I know, Todd, as my wife said, I'm getting a little punchy here. So I apologize up front, but in essence, we are doing it again.
How many are you on there?
This is just one. Sadly, this is just the one. It's a really strong one, but it's the one.
I would like a request, though. Can we change that picture of me? That thing is pretty pathetic.
Sure. You send me whatever you want. I'll fix it.
All right.
All right. So with that, you've heard it here. This is where we help Todd study for his extra class license. And then the good part is that we are way ahead of everybody on every other YouTube channel that's just starting to do extra towards April. Heck, we've been doing it all year long, man. They're just all behind the curve there with Todd here. So my applaud to Todd for keeping the course here. So with that, in each episode, we pick 3 questions for the extra class pool to test his knowledge and hope he gets his upgrade, which he's making progress towards, I promise. And so if you'd like to follow along, you can head over to hamstudy.org, which is a great resource to help you prepare for your test and is recommended by 3 out of 4 volunteer examiners because the ARL was unavailable for comment, as always, at the time of this survey, as always. And so without further delay, our VE Quizmaster, take it away, N1OG.
All right. Well, Todd, hopefully you and our listeners are getting very, very familiar with sub-element number 4.
All right. The count will be 4.
We'll move to 5 next week. I get it.
All right. Well, here you go. Question number 1 for tonight. What undesirable effect can occur when using a noise blanker? Is it A, FM signals can no longer be demodulated? B, strong signals may be distorted and appear to cause spurious emissions?
Ooh,
C, the audio frequency bandwidth of the received signal might be compressed. Or D, received audio in the speech range might have an echo effect.
All right. I'm going to go with B. Strong signals may be distorted and appear to cause spurious emissions.
All right, Eric?
I definitely noticed about FM signals. Yeah, I'm going to go with B because it's definitely a strong signal.
Copycat.
And B is correct.
Great job!
So, as further explanation, when the receiver's noise blanker is turned on and or set to maximum, strong signals on nearby frequencies may be heard on your frequency as noise or chatter. The audible effect is similar to splatter, which is sometimes heard when a station operates an improperly adjusted transmitter and generates a signal with excessive bandwidth.
Cool.
They think he's a righteous dude.
All right,
That he
Todd,
is.
question number 2. What is the received signal level with a transmit power of 10 watts plus 40 dBm, a transmit antenna gain of 6 dBi, a receive antenna gain of 3 dBi, and a path loss of 100 dB? Is it
And
A?
why would I need to know this? Just asking. But go ahead.
Yeah, received signal level with a transmit power of 10
Yeah.
watts.
Yeah, I got that. I'm just saying,
Okay.
why do I need to know this? But okay. Like, am I
It's
ever
not
going
the
to
answer.
Yeah, I know.
You got to be able to do the math.
Yeah.
All right, here's your choices. A, minus 57 dBm. B, minus 51 dBm. C, minus 60 dBm. or D, minus 54 dBm. And you can get your calculator out if you need to use it.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I'm going to go with B since it was right the first time. I'll do it again. B.
Ooh. I'm going to go with C there, 60 dBm.
All right. Well, Todd's shooting in the dark here. And B is correct.
I knew it was B. I did know it was B. Not because I did the
answer,
math.
did you?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah, look at that. That's like that.
Yeah, sure. I know that formula.
Well.
Well, you should know the formula, but the received signal level will be the sum of all gains and losses through the path at the receiver. So, power received equals 40 dBm plus 6 dBi plus 3 dBi minus 100 dB, which equals 51 dBm.
That's
so
easy math.
Yeah, in general, for those types of questions with terms in dB, identify the gains and the losses provided in the question, add the gains together, and then subtract the losses to find total power.
Hey, Paul.
Yo.
Ooh, yeah. I'm going to have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Listen, wait till he gets to sub-element 5 where he's got real math formulas.
Real math? No way.
That's the next one. That's the hard one, 5.
Well, there's electronic circuits in it too, right?
Yep.
Oh, can we just skip that one?
You cannot. You got to learn it. All right, so Todd, you're 2 for 2 so far. So for the third and final question of the evening, which of the following is good practice when using an oscilloscope probe? A, never use a DC coupled probe to measure an AC circuit. B, all of these choices are correct. C, never use a high impedance probe to measure a low impedance circuit. Or D, minimize the length of the probe's ground connection.
All right, well, I'm going to go with B for all 3.
Well, knowing my test taking skills when I did take my extra, you always choose all these answers are correct.
Not
All
always.
right.
Not on this one.
So you're both agreeing that B is the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you were both wrong.
2 out of 3.
Well, you only got 1 out of 3.
I know. Well, I'm safe, man. I don't have to worry about the song.
So as our viewers can see, I correctly picked the right answer, which is D, minimize the length of the probe's ground connection. And for some further explanation, the probe tip and ground of an oscilloscope acts like a sensitive antenna loop. The bigger the loop, the more undesired signals or noise it will pick up. Also, the inductance of the ground wire increases with length, which can distort high-frequency signals. So keep it as short as possible. Well, hey, not too bad, Todd. You got 2 out of 3.
And I'm
okay, but I could set the building on fire.
Yep. The way I look at it. Well,
have you seen my stapler?
Swing line, my friend.
It's a red swing line.
What have you say, Todd? Anything you want to provide? Comments, feedback? Where you're at?
I just
feelings.
Again. That's all that matters.
All right. Well, so with that, if you're on the journey to studying your technician, general, or extra class like Todd, you want to go to hamstudy.org because it's an excellent resource for getting your ticket or studying for your ticket, I should say. And, again, if you've recently received your license or upgraded, which I know there are people doing, it's because the hobby is growing. I'm seeing people pop by with technician licenses. We want to know. So, we want to recognize you. We want to celebrate with you. We want to give you the kudos, and we want to, share in your success. So send us an email at livefreeandham@gmail.com or SMS, text us, whatever, or a WinLink email for all we matters. Just do something. Tell us that you've graduated, you've upgraded, or you gotten your ticket, and we'll share and celebrate with you, and we'll make sure we mention you on the next show. Whew. All right. Well, with that, we're going to get into our usual format here. And so let me ask Paul, how has your ham radio week been? What's been going on?
Well, so let's see. Okay. I did get my computer running well enough to do my Mount Tecumseh hiking video, and I put that up.
Good video.
I took almost 4 hours of footage, and I cut it down to 26 minutes, which wasn't easy to do. What an arduous hike for a quote unquote easy hike. That was definitely a challenge. But then the rest of the week, I've been banging my head against the wall. I'm finally making some progress on building the new computer. So the only bits and pieces that I've got left is I need the GPU for the multiple monitors that I currently run. And the liquid cooler for the CPU. So those are the last two pieces of the puzzle, and then that computer should be ready to go and replace the mini PC that is doing way more than it should.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to ask a stupid question. What the hell is a liquid cooler?
Just exactly that. It runs off
Yeah.
the liquid, cooling the CPU.
How big of a powerful computer are you building?
I mean, it's just a tower. It's just a custom PC, I guess.
Do I have that? I don't have a liquid cooler.
No, you can get a liquid cooler. I mean, the benefits of liquid cooling will keep your GPU and your CPU cooler if you're taxing it a lot. And in case Paul's, already beating on that poor little mini computer, that liquid cooler is going to help him in the long run for sure to keep the computer from deciding to burst into flames.
Yeah, mine never gets that. I don't use it as.
So also, given the location of where I'm going to keep the tower, it's going to be under the desk, between like the little section that blocks my feet from hitting the wall and the wall. So it's kind of a tight little space there, and there's not a ton of ventilation there. I definitely wanted to make sure that it was going to have a lot of fans and good cooling.
Cool.
Well, good deal. Well, keep us updated on that progress, because I know once you do, you'll be celebrating, and and then on to chapter number 2 of getting everything back to where you were from the start of all your software. So I applaud you, and I'm super excited that you're using all that hardware finally and putting it all together. And so I'm looking forward to see what you come out of it. And hopefully that'll make you produce more videos instead of killing yourself.
You know how I say all the time, right? Ham radio makes me feel dumb every day, right? Well, so I look at this computer stuff as an extension of ham radio, because this is part of everything that I do with ham radio.
Pretty much.
And dude, I have felt like a complete retard all week. Like, I know we're not supposed to use that word, but literally, like, I mean, this shit blows my mind. I don't understand. I'm using administrative command prompts and Windows PowerShell, and like trying to get things to work and talk with one another and be nice. And dude, thank goodness for great YouTube videos. That's all I gotta say.
Yep. The internet's a powerful thing, my friend. Okay, well, good. As long as we're learning something, and that T-shirt's applying every day of your life, I'm happy for you. I'm glad things are moving forward. So, Todd, how is your ham radio week, or should I say ham radio with a knot through the ham part?
Yeah, it's I was really, we had some nice weather this week, and of course, every time I was planning to go out, bad things happened at work, and I just was not able to get out there. The bag is in my car. We have got 2 more days coming up. It's going to be in the 70s, and I am planning on hopefully getting out there one of those days and get some radio. I've been dying to do one. I haven't been out in a while. I haven't even been able to use my Flex lately either, just because I've been trying to get everything winterized in my house. There's just a lot of things. You don't realize how much stuff you have outside and what needs to get done before the winter comes until you start doing it. It's like just one more thing. And today, or this weekend, I did all the leaves last weekend. I mean, the lawn looked great. And then we had a freaking windstorm.
30-mile-an-hour winds, man.
and it was just
Those
covered
60 mile an hour gusts.
Yeah, I know. And all the leaves were just back all over my yard. So then we have
good old F you, Todd. Thanks for doing your lawn.
I know. I should have just waited a week, but I was like, I'm going to get this done, get it out of the way, check it off my thing. And I had to uncheck it. I'm like, oh, got to do it again. And then, my wife and I went around and cut we have all these stupid grass and stuff that grows high and it just dies and it just stays there. It looks like crap. So we always chop it down. So that was a chore and a half to get all that stuff cleared out. And then I got to get all the leaves, and I did that all on Saturday. And then today I had to do my neighbors had hope he's not watching this. He probably not. But he had half, we split the mulch and he never used it. And it was in the middle of the road, like where our turnaround is, because we live at the cul-de-sac and it's the end of the road turns into my driveway and then his driveway. And then on the other side is like, so you can do turns, right? So we just use it to throw the mulch in there. It's between the two houses, and then we just spread it. Well, I spread mine in like end of May, beginning of June, and he never took it. So I had half another pile of his that he didn't do. So Zach and I lugged another whole house full of mulch and put it on his dirt bike trail to fill in some of where the rocks are sticking up and some of the divots and stuff to make it smoother. And that's what I did today. And my back is killing me. And I don't like my labor anymore because after I got done, he drove by and saw me doing it, right? After I got done, I go up to watch and I'm listening to the Patriots just play shitty football while I'm doing this. I get done. It's like, I don't know, we had like 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. They end up tying, right? Amazing catch. And, the Patriots lost, so whatever. But I'm watching that and I'm sitting in my thing and my dog's outside barking. Yeah, he comes out with a shovel, starts shoveling stuff in his flower beds, like in front of his house. Right after I come in, I'm like, are you kidding me? He waited till I finished before he came
hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I'm like, come on. So I'll chalk that one up.
I did not come down here just to get jerked off.
I'm just going to knock this one up as being a neighborly neighbor, good neighbor. But he's going to owe me for something because
we appreciate you being a good neighbor.
Yeah. That's a lot of damn mulch. I told my wife that I said, do you realize that I lugged that huge pile we had all by myself? Like just me. No one else.
And your son too, but yeah.
No, he raked it. I dumped it and then he would spread it out. And then he took my axe and he started chopping down trees. Because he wants to make the trail. He wants another trail, so he started chopping the trees down with like a hand axe.
Jeez.
We were out there for like 2 hours. He got like 3 trees down.
Wow.
Just with an axe. It was pretty good. I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, sounds like a wonderful world adventure of your backyard, escapade there.
Why I didn't do any ham radio because I was spreading the neighbor's mulch today.
Well, at least you're not spreading your radials, as they say.
Yeah.
And I just realized that my tagline below me said I was a narc. I totally forgot. I still had that on from our live stream. So if you've been watching here and you don't know what that means, go back to our live stream and you can get the 411.
Yeah, I took a poll at work whose side they'd be on, and everyone in my work was with me.
Of course they would be. They want to be on your good graces there.
Even though we're all in law enforcement, we were the ones causing all the mischief.
That's why you're in law enforcement.
That's why I tell my kids, I go, you know what? I did way worse things as a kid than you did. I just didn't get caught. I go, you guys suck because you get caught. Now you make me do all this stupid work.
They have the internet to make that easier for them. Yeah. We didn't have the internet. It was way easier to get in trouble without having to worry about
everything's now on video anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, bummer with that, but anyway, good on your leaf raking escapades and good play.
So Eric, how was your ham radio week?
Well, thanks for asking, Todd. I appreciate it. So my ham radio week, well, I spent the last couple of days just doing the last, we'll say touch-ups to my truck for the HF setup. I finally got the coax run into the vehicle from my little bulkhead connector that I have off my bumper, so I can now extend or put in a mast off of the trailer hitch and run a wire, and so I could do that all from the comfort of my vehicle through a little coax switch. So I finally got that part of that video done. So I am now going to be slogging through editing all of that content of all my HF install in the truck, which was a fun project to do. I'll have to say that I took a lot of time, took a lot of effort putting that together, both on the video side and the components, and I'm super happy with it. And I love the fact that, if my wife decides to go into a store, I could just sit there with the truck off and turn on HF and make POTA contacts and hunt. I have never done more hunting in my life now that I have HF in my truck. I'm a hunter more than I am a POTA activator, which is sad at this point, but
Now, in making that video, have you come to the realization that I have, where it would be so much handier to have a cameraman?
Oh, yeah, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. Like, my daughter has I have a couple of episodes that my daughter had recorded for me. Like, I done a video that I haven't released yet because I'm just swamped in putting it together, of a matchup between the Ed Fogg antenna and the Faraday that Casey let me borrow. And if Casey's listening, again, I will get you that antenna. I've had it for almost 7 months, and I keep forgetting to give it to you because I've already recorded the video for it. And I did a head-to-head matchup on that. But he always razzes me. He was like, "Hey, how's that J-pole doing that I let you borrow 8 months ago?" And I'm like, "It's doing great. It's in the package. I haven't used it once." So yeah, she was doing my video editing for me. So yeah, it made it easier, but it's always harder because when you have an assistant, they laugh at you, especially if they don't understand ham radio. So that's the one thing you got to remember, is that they will laugh at you, which makes it harder even to be serious in your video if you're trying to be serious. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so the truck videos will be out soon. I can't tell when, but if I'm applying the Shane schedule from Ham Radio Clubhouse, it'll be 6 to 9 months easily, in some cases. But
right. I just got a picture of Zach's plane from today. From the guy that crashed it. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, that? looks like you killed a deer and shot a deer photo. We'll send it to us and we'll post it up on we'll post a link up there so you can see the video if you can't see it on the live stream, or if you're listening on the podcast, check the show notes and the link will be there.
Can I text it to you?
Elaborate. Why not? You've already opened up that bag.
All right. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It's going to be hard to fix, but
Dad did it.
It might be a Frankenstein plane.
Oh boy, duct tape, grit, spit.
Well, yeah, you know how I fix it? So when these planes break, what I do is, that stuff you use to like fill in the little holes on walls.
Yeah, spackle.
Yeah, but not even. They sell this stuff. It's like literally, it's like a cream almost. You put it on, it hardens up. It's awesome for the foam because it's super lightweight. So you just take a scoop of it, you mold it in place, and let it dry overnight, and it just fills in all the missing foam pieces.
But there's not enough for it to be able to make it better.
Well, like on his plane, the leading edge of the wing has a little hole out of it. There's no foam for it, so I'll fix that. And one of the ailerons has a little piece missing, so I'll put that stuff in there, and I'll glue the rest of it on, and then tape it just to give it some extra support. And then I told Zach, I said, do what you want with it. If it crashes, it's already crashed once. Yeah, as long as I get the battery back, I don't care.
Well, if you can scrape anything from that, it's probably the best thing too, especially if it's a good battery.
It'll be fun to try to put it back together and then go up and fly it again. So
one last time. It's the last time. Cool. Well, so outside of that, for me, like I said, I don't think I got a chance to get a POTA in this week. I was planning on, like Todd mentioned in the last episode, that he was about to get out and do one, but he ended up testing everybody and taking their test for them and never got a chance to do a POTA. I was sort of in the same boat, although I did get an email from another ham, and this is a little tip for everybody who does activations. If you ever get an email from another ham asking about an activation you've done at a park, you may have worked your keel or whatever, reply back very quickly. Like, reply back with details of like what they're looking for. Like, be super friendly, because in my experience, if you do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get more people engaged in the hobby and more excited about the hobby and want to go do this. And so like Reed's Ferry was a perfect example. Like he was asking me, and if we've all been, those have been to Reed's Ferry, there's only one little spot you can activate, and it's on the bend of a road called Mulberry Lane. And if anybody knows where it is, you can just pull up and activate right there on the corner, but you really can't get into the woods. And so him and then this guy, I can't remember his call sign. I should go back and look at my emails, but bottom line is he was super ecstatic to have me reply back to him. He was like, wow, this is the fastest anybody's ever responded back to me. And I'm like, dude, I send him pictures of locations and pin maps and everything. And he was just like, I'm so thankful, dude. And he lives in Mass somewhere. And so, for all intents and purposes, hey, I don't care if you want to hike into that place, go right ahead. But, that's the best spot. That's how I got my kilo for it. So yeah, be friendly, help people, help them get, that park activated, even though you've activated 9 million times and you got 2 kilos or whatever, you've done in that park, be a good ambassador for POTA. That's all I have to say.
All right. So the topic of the day is
shacking off, I think we'll say. Not we're saying we're shacking Greg here, but we're shacking off. And so, like we said, in the beginning, we were kind of going to dive into our shacks here. We've all built our shacks up in, number of different ways. And, I wanted to kind of talk about it. It's been a topic, it's been on our topics list for a while, but, something comes up or we change course or we do something different. And I was like, hey, let's go back and revisit. Let's see what we can do. So, let's talk, a little bit about it, because I know I get a lot of questions, at least on my channel, about, hey, what's your shack look like? What do you have? What don't you have? And with that, I talk, about my flex and, all of the other stuff I have. But, and eventually I may get off my ass and create a walkthrough video someday. It's on my to-do list, but, it's way down at the bottom. So, why not use this forum right now to talk about our shacks? I mean, Paul's got a really decent shack. I mean, he's built it up, quite a time, and Todd's gone from a DX10, sitting in a small little corner to now, full rack and flex and the whole 9 yards. So, let's kind of talk, so how did you guys start? What was your initial shack look like? And let's kind of go from there, and we can kind of talk about the evolution of that stuff. So Paul, since, I know Todd's already got, he's ready to go. let's start with you. I mean, obviously you started with I think a 706, right? Very originally on.
Well, so I've got pictures of my very first shack desk. And it's the same desk that I'm currently using, but it only had the FTM 400 on it and a laptop.
Oh wow.
And that was it. Yep, that was my first radio that I bought. That was like a home radio. And then I added the 706 Mark II-G to the mix, and those two were my shack for a good number of months. And the FTM 400 would go in my truck when I would use my truck, and then it would come in at night.
Oh wow! So you moved it back and forth.
Oh, it was a giant pain in the ass, but I had all the connectors in the truck, and I had duplicates at the desk, so that way I could just unhook and bring the radio in and reconnect everything.
Okay.
And then so then I debated on what I wanted to do, and I went through some silent key auctions, and there was a silent key that had emailed the club, and he said, hey, listen, or I think it was the kid, his dad had passed away. He was a ham for a long time. He had a lot of old stuff. And I said, well, I'm looking for an amplifier. I'm looking for a tuner. I'm looking for, old keys. Like, I was interested in Morse. I'm still, feeling it out. But Morse, yeah. I'm Morse curious. But yeah, so that's how I got my amp. It's an old school Alpha 374 by ETO. It's an old tube amp. But it's great. It works. And, it's not It's not super fancy, and I can't change bands real quick with the amp. But over time, I did update the the deluxe Versatuner by MFJ, and I went with the MFJ IntelliTuner, which does the full 1500 watts auto tune, which is fantastic. It makes doing things like ALE a lot easier because your rapid band switching and tuning, and so that was a logical evolution in the Shack. But yeah, it's been a constant evolution, to get to where it is today. And the most recent picture, I think, was from March. It was right after I got my new call sign, and that's up on my QRZ page. If you're curious about what my desk looks like, it's currently got a 7300, a 706 Mark II-G. I took the CB out, and then the IntelliTuner and the amplifier and the Ham Shack hotline and the hams over IP, and we got the DMR hotspot up on the wall, and I mean it just goes and goes and goes.
All right, we can talk a little bit about that in a second. All right, so Todd, talk about your humble beginnings, and then we'll dive into the what I'll call is our 2.0 iterations, which is kind of our current state now. But so where's your Shack started out as, and where did it grow kind of to?
Well, my first Shack was an HT with a headset and a mag mount on my metal roof outside the window.
Okay.
So I had to have the window open even in the winter, and I would just flop the mag mount and stick it on the metal roof.
Was that the same setup that you made that contact all the way out in Canada or whatever?
Oh yeah, that was the one. Yeah, the 850
mile. So that's the infamous one.
Yep, that was the. And then I got a little bit smarter, and I bought a antenna and I attached it to my chimney, and ran the coax down the thing and did it the right way through a hole, and I didn't even think of the window pass through. I just drilled a hole through the wall to the outside, and then put the coax through, and then I just siliconed it.
Wife acceptance factor, okay with that?
She didn't know. I don't think she knew. But anyway.
She still does.
So that was, and then at that time I had bought the 400, the FTM 400, and then that was my Shack. And then I moved, and I got my General, and I had the FTM 400, I had a window pass through, and I had a laptop, and that was it. And then I got my General, and I got the DX10, and then I had that, and that was kind of the start of my Shack. And then when that went away, I got my Flex, and all I can say now is my Shack is in shambles. Everything is a mess. I need to clean it, and now that it's getting dark outside, there'll be a lot of time for me to come home and clean it, but it needs to be cleaned. It's needed to be cleaned for a while. I need to reorganize it. So I'm not happy with it right now, but yeah.
Well, we can talk about that in a bit, because I'm sure you're probably in the same boat as me. It's like there are things you like, but there are things like we just need to frickin' throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of approach and restart from ground zero. So
what happens? Your Shack is super fucking nice looking.
Yeah, but so my Shack originally started a lot like you guys. I didn't have VHF and UHF, sadly. I was always contained in my truck. And I had an FT450D. That was my very first HF gear after once I got my what we'll call general COVID. And I set that up, and I had, I can't remember what I ran outside. I think I was running a wire antenna, and I think it was like the MFJ 1982 or 84 antenna, the worst antenna that everybody buys and says, I wish I never bought it, but you just, you live and you learn kind of antenna. And went through many iterations of getting, realizing that there was just a garbage antenna. And so my first step was always buy a better antenna, and got that up. And then that kind of started the spiral, we'll say death spiral of, I got to have a vertical antenna. So I bought a DX Commander Classic, and then I had another wire antenna. So I had like 4 wire antennas at this point. 4 separate cable runs coming secretly into the my HOA, involvement. But at that point, the basement was still, we'll say, a cement floor, barely, walls that were fully finished and painted and so forth and so on. So my goal was to originally flip it on its what we'll call the 2.0 version and make it, more of my office space and ham shack. And it kind of evolved from there. I I don't have any words to say except that I need help, because I literally I went above and beyond, because I'm like, I'm not going to tear into another wall. I'm not going to redo this. I'm not going to rerun this. So everything that I implemented was like, okay, how can I make this modular? Okay, I'm going to run 4 separate coax lines to a nice wall plate on the wall that's going to look finished, and those will run to a breakout box on the side of the house, and that'll all have lightning arresters, and on and on and on. And then that just basically unfurled me into another stuff. But I started with the 450, and so all of that was my home gear, and I had fun with that 450. I have to say that from my original shack, it was a great radio. I learned a lot, and I kept it. But a certain individual, we'll say Todd, he bought a DX10, and I saw how much fun he was having with his DX10, and I said, I need a DX10. And so I told the wife, I'm like, okay, well, birthday's coming up. I need to upgrade to get an HF radio. So the DX10 became my 1.1 radio. And so I had that, at my desk and tied into the computer and did digital modes and everything else like that. And I was having fun. But that was my shack initially. And I'll get into the 2.0, what it is now today. But that took me a long time to get to. So I guess where to go from here. Yeah, obviously, we obviously all did our own little initial starts, and we always had the VHF and UHF as kind of the base, which I didn't get a chance to, but that was in my truck. What did you guys do to what was Todd? You obviously mentioned you started with the DX10. Did you just decide that was the radio you're going to go to because it was a flagship, or was it because someone said you should buy it, or what was your thought process on it, and why did you go that route?
Well, the DX10 was, my original goal was to take the 400, throw it in the car, and get the 991A. Yep. And this was before I kind of understood HF and ham radio. That was just like what I was looking at. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I can get everything, one radio, keep it nice and sleek, plug it in, and be done with it. And this is at the same time that I'm thinking I buy one radio and I'm done, and I don't have to spend any more money on ham radio. Then Eric tells me, see, Eric and I are bad influence on each other, because once we start talking, we start buying stuff. So, he bought a DX10 because I like mine. I bought a FTM 300 for the car, and I love that because he had one. He says, you should try the 300. And at the same time, Craig, and N1 FST,
which we had on.
Who we had on. He had told me, don't get the 991A. I have it, and you'll regret it, because there's better radios out there. Use your 400 as a thing. Buy another thing and get the DX10, and you'll never need it. You'll won't need another radio for 10, 15 years. You'll love it. So I start looking at the DX10, found out that, this has actually got great receive. It's a great radio. Sounds good. It went on sale, and I pulled the trigger and got it, and was happy. Was really happy with it. Loving that radio. I just really enjoyed it. It worked better than I thought. I started to really get to know how to play around with it, how to use all the filtering. The filtering was awesome.
Yeah, you were getting really good at that.
Yeah, and then I'm like, all right, well, I want to build a Go box for field day and pota or whatever. And then I was going to go back to the 991A just as a mobile thing. And Bill, W1WRA, our current president of our club, says, well, why don't you just get a Flex and put the DX10 in the box? And I'm like, no. And then, of course, I go home, and this was like at either the barn or breakfast or something that we get together. And I go and check out in the bar, and I go on YouTube, and I start looking at this Flex and seeing what I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Oh, I could do it remotely. I work extra overtime, third shift. I could actually play ham radio all night instead of being bored out of my mind because I had run out of Netflix shows and movies to watch. So but I'm like, oh, it's kind of expensive. And I got this I love my DX10. Why would I want to do that? And I don't know what happened. I pulled the trigger and I bought the Flex, and the DX10 is now in my partially assembled Go box. I mean, it works, but it's not where it needs to be. And now I have a Flex. So when I get the Flex, I let Eric sign on. Hey, check out this new Flex. You're going to love it. So I give him my password and username or whatever you have to do. And then he starts using it. And he's like, I'm buying a Flex.
Not even so much where I was buying a Flex. It's like, hey, I did buy a Flex. Because sadly, my next thing was like, hey, I'm going over to the website. Oh, yeah, that doesn't seem so bad. And Paul, I know you're like thinking, dude, that's like super expensive. But may I remind you, site item number 1, skydiving. Let's just stop right there.
Yeah.
Ham radio's cheap in comparison to skydiving.
You get your license, you could have had like a Flex and a half. Yeah,
you could have a farm of Flexes.
So that's kind of how it started. And like I said, I love my DX10. I will probably never get rid of that radio unless it's like, I just can't see myself getting it, especially if it's going to be in this Go box that I'm going to have. I'll be using it for field day, potas, like local potas and stuff. And the Flex though is just a whole nother ball game. Now, if you're new or whatever, and you're saying, oh, I'm going to get my first radio, don't go with a Flex.
Nope.
I would go with a regular radio, because I really think that you got to understand how the radio works, because the Flex is a whole different ballgame. But what's so cool about the Flex is if you get that annoying noise either on the front end or the back end, or you can just erase it with a touch of a button. Boop, gone. And that's what I love. Yeah, you just get rid of it. And you can do it as many times as you want. And it's just awesome. So if you're trying to get a weak signal or you're trying to get in, it just makes it. And the fact that you can use it on your phone or your iPad and the remote ability. I mean, I've used it like when I'm down south and I'm trying to see, like, oh, you guys are trying to, I'm going to work you. I'm going to work you. And I'm in Alabama or Mississippi or Louisiana or whatever. I go on 20 meters. I take my iPad out. I throw it on my Flex. I put it on the channel and I start calling CQ. If I can't hear it on my thing, then I know they're not reaching me. They can't hear me. I'll go down to 15. Oh, they can hear me on 15. So that's what I was doing. It's kind of cheating, but I could tell if New Hampshire was getting my thing. So that's kind of cool to do too.
So what's funny about this, right? Is all these episodes, Todd's always said about how he was forced to do things because of Eric. But it seems like Eric was forced to buy things now because of Todd. And
it comes around, goes around, man. Don't you know how it works?
Well, so here's a shout out to Steve, KM9G, right?
Yep.
He I was in the Toads Discord, and somebody had posted this Neptune HF amplifier for QRP radios. I was like, oh, that looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It takes your low watt and it turns it to 100. Like, damn it, Steve, now I got to get a freaking 705. Like, I've been looking at the 705s for so long, and I've been debating if that was going to be the QRP radio. And I don't know, this Neptune amplifier might just be the thing that makes me save up for that.
Dude, hold off. Don't spend your money yet, because that FX4CR that I've totally coveted. If the 1F comes out and it's like ready to buy, and I've already got my down payment on it, like I said, I can only have so many radios in the stable. So that FX4CR could go for a really, really good price, and be in your hot little hands sooner than later. That's 20 watts. So, that would be way better on your back, especially in the 891.
That little radio's 20 watts.
20 watts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That little tiny thing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful design. Great little radio.
It would definitely be nice for the summits. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I would love, you would be the one person I would sell it to, good price, get it to you. And then after that, I'd be like, I need to buy another one, because I just I feel like Mike does with his G90 and Walt and the whole thing. So, I'm already feeling sort of a little bit that, like, I haven't even released it yet. And I'm like already feeling like the little kids being torn away from my heart. So, all right. Yeah. So it sounds like, with the Flex, you definitely went through an iteration of what we call rack and stack kind of, making everything modular in your shack there a little bit. We'll talk about that in a bit. So I'll hold that thought for a little bit. So Paul, you've obviously grown from your shack. And so your, we'll say 1.5 iteration has definitely multiplied. You've changed some radios out. Where did you go with that second phase of life, and what does it kind of look like? Because I know you surprised us at one time with hey, I got one. I'm like, wait a minute. You said you were going to stay with the 705, 706 forever. so do tell, talk about that whole process.
Well, so like Todd had mentioned, right? He was looking at the 991A because it's an all-in-one, and the 706 Mark II-G is an all-in-one, and so in that aspect, it's great. However, once you start playing around with radio and you get really into it, you want to be on HF and still listen to the UHF VHF.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that on an all-in-one. So to meet my budgetary requirements, I shopped around for another 706 Mark II-G, because the first one was, I think, $450. Got it off a guy in the local club. The second one I got off QRZ, and it was $500. But it came with the signal link and everything, right? So that became my HF, and then the other one was my UHF EHF, and so I had identical radios sitting there.
I know. You were turning into Bill. I mean, you had to have another radio for it to be complete because it had to have a friend.
It definitely needed a friend. Yeah, because I wanted to be able to do, both bands at the same time. I wanted to be able to at least, monitor the repeaters, monitor the calling frequencies, and still play around on HF. But it did take me 2 field days to decide on the new radio that I would buy, right? And so I said, well, if I'm gonna buy a brand new radio, it's got to be a radio that's going to last me for the next 20 plus years, and it's got to be everything that I want in an HF radio.
Mm.
And I played with W1 WRA's 7300 for 2 field days. And after the winter field day where I had it all to myself, I said, "This is the radio, 100%. This is the radio." And yeah,
with the DX10 in front of you.
And I guess had I played with a DX10 when I was more Morse curious than I am currently, I may have been persuaded just for the Morse decode features that are built in. But I'm definitely not remorseful in any way on my purchase of the 7300.
I don't think you are either. You wear that badge proudly.
Yeah, well,
that's like
I liked it so much I had to get another one.
Yeah,
you've got 2 of them.
7300s, yeah.
You have 2?
2 7300s and 2 706 Mark II-Gs.
Yes, but the second 7300 is a signature series one-off type thing.
It is certainly a radio with stories, as it has taken a tumble and fallen on the ground a few times before it ever reached me.
Is that the one you bought from Carlos?
No, that's Shane.
Shane.
Oh, Shane.
Yeah.
Now, are you what do you use that one for?
So that's the field 7300, so that I don't have to continually pull the desk one. And
please, when you say fields, can you put it in quotes, because those radios are not field radios, but they're they can be in the field day specifically.
It is 100% not a field radio. I wouldn't take it to a park, and do a park activation with it. It's too big and too heavy for that. But for field day, where I'm literally packing for a whole weekend, it's the perfect radio.
Well, we used the DX10 for when we did our Rove.
We did. But we carried it. We literally pulled it out of the back of the bed, took the lid up, and then pulled it out just of like 4 inches above the lid so we could see the display. That's how far it got out of the case.
Okay, but it still worked.
It did. I'm not saying that those radios work. And if that's all you have, then go do POTA. Don't let that stop you.
But I'm like Paul, right? Like that was one of the reasons I wanted a field radio, because I hated unhooking everything, bringing it to field day, and then having to come back, replug everything in. I was like, I don't want this. I want a radio I can just bring to field day. And then I figured the DX10 was, that's a good radio, especially for field day. I'm like, and it just, all those factors took an effect. And then you start watching YouTube videos and it gets you really hooked. And then I started talking to Bill about questions and he's telling me all that, and I'm getting more and more curious. And then
you ask Ryan, which was your big second mistake there at that point. He was like, let's just start the Go Box.
Yeah, we'll just start the Go. And that was the end of it. And then it went on sale. And I was like, oh, it's like all like the ham radio gods are just sending me like, you need to buy this thing. And
must buy.
And then I was working overtime. I had the extra cash. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then when it came, like I get this box and I honestly thought I got gypped, like someone stole it. It was like so light.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking it was going to be this huge, heavy, like, the DX10's got some weight to it. This thing. I opened it up, I'm like, is it even here? Yeah. And I was like,
super light.
I was like, holy crap. And then, and then Ryan, he comes over, he goes, oh, you got to do we got to do the rack thing. And he comes over and we like ripped everything apart. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
So explain that process. So, I mean, obviously you started with you were on your tabletop and speakers and computer all hooked up. So now you've graduated to our 2.0, iteration. So now you're in a rack.
Yeah. So he sends me a list and he says, buy all this stuff. So I'm like, all right. So I buy the rack, I buy all these things, and he comes over and and then he finds me, this is awesome. So I only had a little power supply. So I'm looking for a power supply. I'm going to go buy a new power supply. He's like out on the West Coast for work. He goes, hey, I think he was in Washington or Oregon. He goes, I got there's an amp or there's a power supply out here. And he goes, you should buy it. And I'm like, well, he goes, it's a great price. He goes, I'll buy it for you and bring it back, and I'll make sure it's good. So I said, all right. So he literally was on work. He sneaks in this big ass power supply.
Flies
it home to me. And he brings it over and we put it on and the thing worked awesome. And it's never turned off. And, we get this rack and we figure it out. We're trying to fit everything in. And he's like, oh yeah, we got to run the hard wire. Because I was doing everything through Wi-Fi. So we ended up hardwiring everything in. And so now I have battery backups. I've got the power supply. I got everything going. So when the power goes out, I'm on ham radio because it's still working.
Well, you gotta remember when you bought that linear amplifier from Ryan, you had already purchased one off of Gigaparts or just DX Standard. It had a 6-month lead time or something like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so I had ordered a new one and at a ham radio outlet, and then it was supposed to be. It was delayed. They didn't have it. So of course he comes back. We hook this one up. I get the email. Oh, your
the amplifier is ready.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be buying that anymore. Guy's like, really? What's wrong? I'm like, I got a used one for a great deal. And it was the one up, so it was actually a better one. So so it was just
Ryan hooked you up with an amp and a power supply.
No, just a
no. I mean a power. Yeah, I'm talking about just the power. I messed up. Yeah, power.
You're the only one with the golden ticket there, my friend.
Yeah,
you've got the power behind you.
Look at amps are. I mean, I got to hit the lottery or something. I don't even know if my antenna could handle more than 100 watts. Be afraid
you don't need to hit the lottery. You just need to look for silent keys.
True.
The kids are getting rid of their shit. All right.
Yeah. So you know what I think. When you just said that, what I think of Wedding Crashers. You ever see that movie where they're trying to get chicks?
Funeral Crashers, and you just be like, "Hey, who's got ham radio shit?"
Yeah, I'm looking for silent keys. Give me a call. Advertise.
You just start showing up at funerals going, hey, is this guy into ham radio?
Yeah. So you go to your obituation. He was a long time ham radio. All of a sudden he's like there. So he's got 8 amps. Yeah. So
You
yeah,
heard it
that's
here, folks. We give you suggestions and strategies for a new equipment.
just look for silent. I can see you at home, be like, let's see who's dead today. Oh, there's a couple silent keys down in Massachusetts. Let me give them a call.
Estate sales, man. Yeah.
Hey,
Got it in with Feeder Homes.
Hey, sorry for your loss, but did your dad have an amp? I could really use one.
Excuse me, do you know what a ham radio operator is? Oh, good, you do. Okay, cool. Then does he happen to have any gear I can take a look at, like now?
I know you haven't buried him yet, but I'd like to get first dibs.
The body isn't even cold yet.
It's terrible.
Yep. All right. Well, so we're not ambulance chasers any longer. So, all right. So you sounds like you've gotten to, we'll say the clean version of like your installed. And so have you changed much of that at all since you've had it?
No, but like I said, I need to reorganize and I'm going to change some things, but really I don't need much now. I think now it's more of, I want to get my, my vertical up and I want to be able to switch the antennas and have some options. I don't get my dipole. I don't get 6 meters that good. I don't know why. So I might get a 6 meter separate antenna. So I might want to have some antenna switching, that kind of stuff, down the road. Okay. I want to get that. I want to get a TV screen and get that. What do you guys have that?
Oh, Geocron or ham clock. Yep.
Because I think I would use that a lot, especially like my love of weather and stuff and all the information it has.
I'll put it this way. Mine's, you can barely make it out in the back of my screen here. It was originally on the 50-inch and it was fighting for real estate with all of my other, apps for my Flex and WSJTX. Because I was like, I'd rather have that up on the screen when I walk by as a heads up kind of thing. So I was like, my Geocron wasn't getting any love, so I moved it to a smaller screen in the back. So I kind of walk by it like Paul does now with his ham clock of like, oh, it's a good at a glance. So if you find somebody with a Geocron who wants to like get rid of it, you're probably better off getting it that way than paying full price for one.
Dude, my ham clock is on a 32-inch monitor above my monitors, and so it's always I just look up and I see it. But I also have a tablet upstairs that sits next to my recliner. That the only thing that displays on that tablet is the ham clock live feed. So I've always got ham clock.
So what is is the ham clock different than what you have, Eric?
Well, Geocron is a complete like turnkey solution that you pay for plus a subscription service to be able to get all the ham functionality and features. Ham clock is what, open source?
Yeah, it's free.
Oh, it's free?
You just need the hardware. Yeah, you just need the hardware.
You just got to have a Raspberry Pi to put it on.
Yeah, which is cheap and easy.
Well, I'll have to look into that because I'm getting into open source on my RC stuff, so I'm exploring that.
I'll send you down a rabbit hole while you're looking into ham clock. Also, look at the ham dashboard. And let me tell you, you're going to want to set both up.
Really?
At some point, I'm going to get another Raspberry Pi. And I'm gonna have the ham clock running on one, and I'll have the dashboard running on the other, so that I can have a feed in the dashboard of the ham clock. But it's amazing.
Well,
you're gonna have amazing.
Let's put a pin in that for a second because that's like we're talking enhancements here now. So let's kind of shift here. So back to your base of where you're at. So 2.0 is you got a nice rack set up and everything seems to be
the rack. I got the computer. I first got a computer, and then when I got the Flex and we we're going to do all this podcast and stuff, Eric hooked me up with stuff, and I went down to and got a new computer. Or I took my old computer, ripped everything out, got all new sound cards, everything. And then I took the old crap and built Zach a computer with all the old stuff and some of Eric's extra stuff. Yep. And he's got a beginner gaming computer, and he spends pretty much any time he's inside, he's down there playing Fortnite with his friends on that computer. So this computer is really just set for everything I do with ham radio. So I do the live streaming, all the stuff that we do for this. I do the FT8. I have the stuff, and then now I started adding some of the RC stuff. That now that I have a open source radio, I have to. There's a program to programming it. I've got all my radios, HTs, and the 400 all on there. So basically, I use this computer for ham radio and RC flying, and that's pretty much it. So anything I do with ham radio, that's all I use this computer for. My work computer, I do all my work stuff on, and everything else, I just watch movies and stuff. I'll do on my iPad. So yeah, that's basically it. And I did buy a second screen because when you start doing FT8, which I haven't done FT8 in a long time, and I even I think if I get back into FT8, when I was working from home over COVID, that's when I was doing a lot of FT8 because I was running it while I was working. I think I would get a third screen and make it, what do you call it, vertical instead of and just have the FT8 running.
Right,
But
so write it down. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
no problem.
So that's that would be those are the next things.
So that's your current state of affairs right now in terms of your shack set up and where you're kind of.
But it's a complete mess though. It's like it doesn't even look like a shack. It needs. I'm just disgusted by it.
Okay. Well, we'll put a pin in that. We'll talk about why you're disgusted and what you can do to fix it. But Paul, so where are you at with your shack? I mean, obviously, you sounded like when you were talking about getting your 7300, pick it up from kind of where you're there and what you've added to get to current state.
Well, so current evolutions, right? I've added network storage. So that was an interesting, process this week. I went through trying to figure out how to take one of those wonderfully donated computers. Thank you.
No problem.
And I had, I think 5 external hard drives that, I didn't need them. I cleared them out, pulled all the storage together. So now I've got an extra 3 terabytes of storage on the network that anybody in the house can use. But that's where now I'm dumping all my video files and all of that. I'm currently building the new Shack computer, which, I got to say, like the computing aspect of the Shack, I started with an old laptop. It was literally probably 8 years old in 2021. And that was my Shack computer. Yeah. And I used that laptop all the way until 2 years ago when I bought the mini PC for the desk, which then became the new, Shack radio PC, right? Like it does all the radio stuff and with all the radio software and logging and streaming and everything. And it's nice that it's all in one, but man, I'm just massively overworking this computer. The CPU is just doing all it can to keep up. So yeah, I gotta say that I hadn't really considered how much having a good computer plays a factor in my ham radio Shack. And now, like, yeah, I'm learning about building a computer, but I'm also learning what my needs are, right? Yeah. And I think everybody in their evolution of their Shack, they're going to start out like we all did, right? With something very small, very basic. And as they figure out what their needs are, the Shack grows to fit your needs. And I don't think there's any shame in the constant state of evolution that it is. Nope. I 100% agree with Todd that my Shack is a shit show. It's a freaking disaster. There are computer parts and towers and monitors and everything's just piled everywhere. But my pota bag is almost ready to go. So, there's a little upside
going for you.
Yeah. No, don't be afraid of the evolution though, and make notes for yourself, have a plan and say, okay, this is the next thing that I need to add. And how do I get there?
Okay. All right. Well, let me kind of give you the 411 state of where I got to, and then I think we should give a little justice to talking about like what things, and we obviously alluded to a little bit, like what things just irk you enough that you got to get off your plate to fix, and then what is you think that's going to lead to, and we can kind of tie it in a bow at that point at the end of this, because I know we could go for hours because we're good like that. So I guess my iteration of my Shack, so I started, like I said, on a table, and then went after I finally built out my Shack and, carpeted it and made it my, kind of home base and office. I designated basically a kind of, I bought IKEA, desktop or butcher block, and I made a nice long desk that literally wraps around half of my basement. So there's a lot of counter space, a lot of openings for, opportunities to be able to do stuff if I want to, and then throw it or put it in a box or get rid of it. But my shack itself, I bought as a kind of, we'll say, gift to once I finished the basement, was a 50-inch, 4K screen, because my wife had bought me the start of it, a Geochron, because as everybody knows, the Geochrons only run at 4K. They won't, you can't do all of the advanced features without the 4K capability. So I had this big giant monitor, which literally sits above my head right now. And I don't have pictures on my QRZ, but I'm sure I'd be happy to post them a link in the show notes so people can see it. And that was running my Geochron for a while. And then I had a 43-inch wraparound curved screen and then a vertical screen here that I could use for FT8. Well, since I've gotten into streaming and my own YouTube channel, FT8 has now moved up and it's on the main screen, and it sits with my Flex because I had a DX10 tucked underneath, and like Todd said in the whole evolution, is like I had it, and I was just like, when I bought the Flex, I was like, well, now I have to buy a rack, because I can't just let this thing sit in a closet, because it's got to be, it's got to be displayed nicely. So, and of course, Ryan, who's not here on the show but is represented by, pictures for those that are on the podcast. Ryan is here in spirit behind Paul. He said, hey, you really should start thinking about a rack. And so in my, in my brain, because I'm in IT, when we build out racks, we don't half-ass it. I run cabling nice, I run management, and I run power and connectors. And so I, at that point, was like, well, then I need to go out and buy a new PC, because at that point I was sort of in that same boat Paul is, and where Todd kind of got to was like, that PC is just not going to hack it. It's not editing. I can't edit videos. I'm putting a lot of pressure on it to run all my ham apps. And I was like, I just want something that's racked. And so I went down to my PC shop that Todd went to as well, and they built me a PC the way I want it spec-wise, and it's in a rack-mounted 4U case, so it slides right into the rack. And so I've got that, and then I was like, well, I have the Flex. I need to have power management. And so I don't have a linear power supply because I just couldn't fit that into the budget at the time, because they're expensive, as Todd's realized, but he got his for a good deal. So I bought two Samulex 30 amps. So they're on separate, sides of the power option. So one powers my Flex, and then I've got on the back side, I bolted to the back of the rack a power distribution block. So it's all power poles. So one of those Samulex feeds that, and then I just plug power poles in the back there. And then I was like, well, I'm tired of trying to manage all of my USB devices. So I bought all of the modular connectors and stuff like that. And so all of the cables that are plugged into my PC all feed to a panel in the back, which then allows me to plug in my USB devices into that. So if I switch stuff around, I know which port goes into where, because I was always crawling in the back. And because I was always crawling in the back, I needed lighting, because I didn't have lighting in my rack. So now my rack has lighting in the back that I can turn on and off. That's all LED based. And so then I have my Flex on the bottom, and then I have a pull out. I mean, it just kind of evolved. And so I've got this nice rack, all well situated. I've got a web control switch that I can power it on and off whenever I want to, which my next phase to that is Node-RED and integration and all that stuff, so I can do everything remotely. With the intention down the road, like Todd said, if I ever hit the lottery, then I might get a good power amp, because I really want to get the Power Genius, power amp. And at that point, I'm like also thinking, well, if I get that, I have to go get a Power Genius 8x2 switch like Ryan picked up, because I want to be able to control all my antennas software-wise. And, that's kind of one of those things. But my rack is in a good spot where it's all clean, it's all labeled well, and I know exactly what everything's hooked up to, and it's all documented well.
It looks nice.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And it seems to be a highlight, because I've always invited people over to come take a look, and I always think that they're going to look at the big screen and go, oh, wow, the big screen. They all go to the rack and go, wow, that's a beautiful rack. That's well organized. How do you have that? And I'm like, oh, so I have to explain the whole process. So
what a nice rack.
Pretty much, we're shacking off and we're talking about racks. So, let's really make it bad. So that's where my statewide is. So everything's well organized. But unlike you guys, I always want something more to add to it or something to change that just really bothers and pisses me off. But so let's start with you, Todd. What few things that you want to take care of initially, and then what's your kind of long term goal for the your setup? Do you want more software driven stuff, or is it more hardware, or where do you want to go with it?
I think I need to organize where everything is. Kind of, I move my screens around a lot. So when I'm doing the net and stuff, I push the screens back and pull them forward. I do want to get a third one. I do want to get a 4K TV so I can run those things. Maybe now I need two. After I talk to Paul and check out his thing.
Well, your computer can drive it now.
What?
Your computer can now drive it, so
right.
You can support up to 4.
Yeah, and I think right now, that's kind of like what I'm doing. I got to get it. I got to get everything cleaned up and organized, and then kind of look at what exactly I want to do. I have things in my head of how I want it to be. I look at it as a shack as it's like it's always in motion. It's a work in progress, right? Like you're always going to change it. There's always different things. I wouldn't mind taking, instead of getting another straight TV, get maybe like a nice long curvature, expensive thing. That would be nice, but it's all money. And it's like, what do I need it for? And how much am I in here for? And, do I really need that? Or would it be cool to have it? Is it necessary? And, if I didn't buy it, what would I use that money for? And,
well, you're not working the extra hours, so it's not
Right,
just plentiful off the tree.
Oh, but I am looking like, so on a side note, I talked to I'm friends with the chief of police here. I coached his son, and we used to work with him when he was our prosecutor for Amherst. So I saw him at basketball tryouts. I said, "Hey," I go, "You need any dispatchers?" I go, "I got a ham radio license." I said, "I could probably do it." I said, and he goes, "Oh," he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "But my dispatchers, they only come and go when they want to work, and it's like, yeah, they're all part time." I said, "Well, I'll work part time. Just give me a schedule, and as long as it doesn't interfere with my, like, if it's in the evening, I'll do it." I go, "You want me to do like Wednesdays? I'll do Wednesdays. Why not?" He goes, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, just sure." So he goes, "I'm going to look into that." So who knows? I might become the Amherst dispatcher, following
ham radio liaison.
Yeah, following Izzo's drive. I'm like, that would be awesome. And he goes, "Well, I don't think it pays." I'm like, "Dude, it's extra money. I'm looking at this as like to fulfill my hobby bank." Like what else? I come home. What do? I grab something to eat, and I go up and either watch TV or come down and get on the radio or whatever. It's like I'm not doing anything major. And if you need help, and I said I only live down the road, so it's like, and then people will call out and they can probably, "Hey, you want to go do dispatch?" And thought it'd be fun. So another reason then I can have the flex, because then if I'm doing dispatch and I'm just sitting there and there's not a lot going on at night here in good old Amherst, I could be hunting parks.
Well, you don't have narcs like myself, so that really doesn't help. Keep the flow of mischiefs coming into the system.
But like I said, it's a work in progress. I think my thing is I'm just not happy with just the way it's just ergonomically, like how it's all set up, and I don't know how I want to fix it. I don't know.
Okay, so sounds like that's your biggest pet peeve. Okay.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Cool.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean everything up, and then I'll have a better idea what I want to do. Get rid of some of the shit I never use, like this. Like no, not the flex. Like this phone that never rings, that I don't even think works anymore.
Oh, the ham
hotline. Yeah, I'm getting
ham jack.
Just taking up space.
I still have.
Sorry, Paul.
Hey, all right. Well, so Paul, go. Where are you at in your kind of evolution of this, and what one pet peeve like Todd has that's really pissing you off that you just got to take care of, and then where you think that's leading you?
So the biggest aggravation for me currently is there is just not enough real estate on this little desk, and unfortunately, the desk needs to be located in this particular space because that's where the power is for the 220 for the amp.
Right.
I will say this has been on the list for several years. Cable management is a huge problem for me. Like I literally, I've got four runs of coax that leave my desk and they go up and they go over and they go across the ceiling and then they come down. They go out the window and not through a window pass through. I literally notched my wood window frame to pass the coax through. Cable management has been a nightmare. And so at some point, because the way that the roof line is over my head is it's an extension off the backside of the house. So at one point where the bulkhead was, right, to go down into the basement, they had just built it up and put like an entryway, and then they decided to put a 20-foot addition off the side of that. So where the entryway is, where the bulkhead used to be, is higher than the rest of the room. So what I want to do is put a pass through in that gap where the roof line steps down, so that I can have all my coax connections there, and then just plug in on the outside and run to all the various antennas.
Mhm.
So that's definitely a big one. My other big gripe is I never put enough focus or time or any attention whatsoever into station grounding. And so I have a lot of issues with, like, if the kid's got his LED lights on in his room, or if there's, power supplies throughout the house or anything, it all comes through and shows on the radio. And if I had some good station grounding, that would be at least be mitigated a little bit. So those are my two big iterations of evolution that need to happen to the shack is better cable management and good station grounding.
Man, maybe we can get a 2-for-1 deal because Todd's got to do grounding too.
Yeah. Well, I got to do that.
Yeah, I
need to retire, and then I can do all these things.
Dude, you've already proven that you can't retire. You still have to maintain a job somewhere because you still get busy because the wife realizes that, hey, you got more time on your hands, and more time means less ham radio.
And trust me when I tell you, okay, I've been retired since 2012. I am way busier being retired than I ever was working a full-time job. Like it is so much easier to just be like, you know what? I have a job to go to, and then I'll fit everything else around that. Then, oh, well, I don't have a job to go to. And so, yeah, I've got all these things, but everybody else wants other things. Like, dude, you will not be, laden with free time after retirement.
Nope. Yeah. So, yeah, I highly advise grounding is well worth it. I'd never dove deep into the grounding books, but I talked with many people that it was like, okay, if I'm in the state I'm at, and like I said, I was building out my office space, shack space. So it was like, if I didn't do it then, I was going to, kick myself in the butt and, decide that it was a dumb idea and have to tear into walls and stuff like that. And I just didn't want to do that. So I did the grounding part very early on, and I'm glad I did because I've got a nice bus bar grounding copper bar down by my feet over here that's got like 22 lugs on it, and all my rack and my equipment are all tied to that with short runs, and my flex is tied there. So all of it's grounded, and then I got one ground right out to the grounding rod because I'm at the basement level, so it goes right out the backside and right to the grounding rod that the electrical panel's in. So yeah, it's dropped my noise floor a little bit. I couldn't tell you how much it was before that, but in essence, I'm in a HOA. So in essence, I've got people left and right of me with all IoT devices everywhere. So I'm getting about, if I look at my flex now, my noise floor is like an S4, S5, which is probably normal for most people around.
Well, it's better than the S6 that I have normally.
Okay. So I'm in the ballpark, as I say. So yeah, from my rack standpoint, there's nothing I would change, but the one thing that I'm frustrated with is that I'm a big proponent about automation. I like to have, automation in place as much as possible with the purpose that I'm leveraging all of the time that I created, all of the, we'll say, processes to make cable management look easy and software and all that stuff working well. So my stopgap that's been a problem for me since a year ago was I was going to implement Node-RED a year ago because I got the Flex about a year and a half ago, or actually it's been 2 years now. So I was going to leverage all of those things you see on the internet, because that's once I started shopping for a Flex with Todd. And then I was like, oh, well, this Node-RED stuff, I've got to do Node-RED dashboards. And I did a Node-RED dashboard for Field Day, which was awesome because it worked great. And my Field Day Go box is a well-oiled machine, and that's literally just a plug and play, and Node-RED fires up, and I spend 10 minutes, updating software, and everything's ready for Field Day, and I'm going to go. My Shack is not like that. So that's my biggest thing, is I want to automate that. And at the same time, I want to be able to automate a lot of the stuff I do with lighting and stuff like that, because I don't mind the green screen effect, but at the same time, it drives me bonkers. I really want to do better lighting in the office, but I don't want to go around and flip 19 switches so I could get ready for a live stream. I just want to be able to hit something on my Stream Deck that tells Node-RED to go do something, fire up my Flex, do all these really cool whiz bang things. And so, but that is just alone its own, nut to crack. And so I haven't come up with a smaller, more bite-sized approach of how I'm going to do that. But I know I need to do that. And that's going to be mostly software, driven. Which at the same time, I bought a whole bunch of stuff for the Flex, like right around Todd, when he built his rack, for all of the, hey, how do you do remote power on and off? All that stuff is sitting in a box on top of the Flex, and it's been there for a year and a half. You think I have to, knock on wood, so far, I haven't had to reboot the Flex remotely in some form or fashion, or ask any family members to do it. So I've been good on that part, but I know there's going to be one of those days I'm going to be in Maine or something like that. I want to use my Flex, and it's I can't get to it because I have to remote reboot it or something.
Well, you know what? It's funny you said, because I haven't done mine either.
So all right, okay, so we're all the same boat then.
That's still in the box. All right, I got to do that. So yeah, there's a, I look at, here's one of the things that goes with me. Obviously, people who live in New England, if you're not from New England, we have crazy daylight. In the winter, you have nothing. It is, I leave work, it's almost dark, and then
it's dark,
and it's dark, and you leave, it's dark. It just sucks. But in the summer, it's it's light all the time. It's I rarely end up driving at night because it doesn't get dark till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night before you're dark. Now, up until what, December, right? It'll be 4:30. It'll be dark. So this is the time of year now that you can do the inside stuff, right? So if you can get away without doing the honey-do list, you can have time to come in and do it. But my problem that I'm finding now is my job is not physically hard. It's just mentally draining. And I've been doing it for so long that when I come home, it's my brain is mush and I don't give two shits about anything. And the last thing I want...
And you want to dispatch.
I know, it's just getting more mentally tiring.
Yeah, I'd be there's some domestic going on. No.
What's worse is going to be in your own town doing it. So you'll be I have to see these people.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, but here's the thing. When I have to work, so when I work and then go to another work job that's similar, I don't lose that. I stay in that mode, that work mode. So it's doable. But when I know that I'm not in work mode anymore, that's when it just kind of all releases. And I'm just ugh. And it's there's so many things I want to, I wake up in the morning, I am let's go. I have got all these things I'm going to do. And by the time 5 o'clock comes, I'm yep, not doing nothing. Done. And it's true. It's just, I got to figure out a way to get through that, because now it's going to be dark all the time. So I should have plenty of time to come into the shack, organize it, get it fixed up, fix the planes I want to fix, program my radios, learn about Raspberry Pis, all these things that I want to do, study for my extra, I don't even want
to... We can't keep going another year with that one.
We might as well. We might be doing it for the eternity. Todd's been the longest studier. But hey, I did hear on the net tonight that I think January is our club's...
January 11th It's the next test day.
Is our next test, and so I'm going to try to get it done by then.
Sweet, you heard it here, folks.
If not sooner, but I'm gonna if it starts getting close to that, and I'm gonna really start buckling down. But like I said, that's my biggest problem right now is just getting motivated to just get it done and start enjoying the hobby again and putting time in to do the ham radio. Because like an example, like even this, like I send out I go on our Discord on our private thing. I'm like, are we doing a thing tonight? Yep. And I'm just looking. I'm like, oh my god, I got to do the net, and then I got to do this. But then once I start doing it, I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm glad I'm doing this. But trying to get me motivated to get like what I was doing to come down here, do the not stupid net, but do the net. And then I'm already down here. I'm like, all right, let's do it. But getting down there to get going, and that's what I have to learn to push myself and just say, I'm going down. I'm going to do this. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So that's kind of like my thing, and we just got to get it done.
So you need $1 million. You need $1 million, time, and someone to clone yourself, so you can actually just allow the wife to be able to do all of her honeydew lists.
I need two. I need two clones. One to do my work, my job. One to do the honeydew list, and then I can do all the fun things.
Play all your hobby.
And I want to be invisible, so no one knows that it's really me. Like, just come in here and
just don't clone the clone. It'd be just dumber.
Yeah.
Multiplicity.
Exactly.
But, it's like I said, and I believe that shacks are like, it's like anything else with ham radio. It grows and changes. You might have a path that you think you're taking, and it never goes that way. And then there's always things that you're going to get into. I mean, who knows? Maybe after I get my extra, I'll get into CW, and I'll be just focused on that. I doubt it, but maybe.
I gave away my CW key to someone else who could use it, and I feel better for it because it wasn't sitting there collecting dust. And I check in with them every time, and they make me feel good that I gave them the key, so it's getting used. So that's kind of the way I look at it. The stuff I give away.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's I mean, I want to get out and do more ham radio because I'm not doing as much as I would like to do. I don't consider driving to work and talking to Bill or Mike or whoever else, Christian, whoever else is commuting to and talking to me on my ride in, or even like you, Eric. Like, to me, when I first started, that was like ham radio. Like, this is awesome. Now it's just like might as well be talking. Like, I don't consider that like doing ham radio because it's just my commute chat.
Right. Yeah, it's mandatory almost to kind of check the ham radio box.
It's just kind of like the thing. But I love the HFs and I love POTA, and I don't do enough of it. And like you said, you've got it in your car and you're hunting more. Like I used to come down here and I'd start at like 7:00 and I'd hunt and I'd look down, I'm like, oh my God, it's like 1 a.m. because I'd just be in the zone doing it. And I haven't done that lately.
Help Todd become ham radio addicted.
I am addicted. I just need to feed my addiction is what I need to do. So I'm starving.
You heard it here. Seem to have a theme going on these past 2 episodes. All right. Well, so what's your one pet peeve there, Paul, that you want to kind of work towards? It's really just irking you. Obviously, you said desk space, but I'm sure it's probably more detailed than that.
Well, yeah, no. So with the new computer, I will have the ability to run 4 monitors, and so the 3 monitors that I currently run were all monitors that I picked up for free. So I have no doubt that I should be able to find a 4th monitor somewhere.
3 of them you can have. I love it. I love giving away this crap.
It's perfect. I literally I'm building a computer from 3 towers that you gave me. I built my NAS from the mini PCs that you gave me. So yeah, 100%. I really appreciate I'm putting it all to good use.
Very cool.
But yeah, no, I think no matter what, the desk is going to bother me, and I'm going to evolve it. So just don't get locked into thinking that things are the way they are and they have to stay that way. It can always change.
Yeah, it's actually good. I think that's kind of a good point to kind of leave everybody with, I think, is that we all feel like maybe you might be in this place where you might just have like an FTM 400 or a VHF UHF radio sitting on your desk, and you're like, why can't I be like with the big boys? Well, know that hey, you will go through an evolution. I can't tell you how many people, and we've all said it and we've all heard it and we laugh, especially if we've been in ham radio for a while. They're like, I only need one radio. And anytime someone says that, we all laugh on the inside. And then the process goes through their their life, and they realize, oh, they have an HF radio here, or now they've got 5 HTs, or they've got 25 HTs, and now they've got a radio that someone gave them that's a mobile radio, and so the list goes on. And it's like it starts with radios, and then it expands to antennas, and then the things that connect antennas, and it's just the hobby. I mean, you collect it, but I think the one thing I will, and I think we kind of shared a little bit of this here, is that we all take the time here to, if we have stuff that we no longer use, we pay it forward. We give it to the new hams. We give it to people that we know that can use it and get it in their hands, so they get excited about the hobby and they share the same passions that we all like to do and have done and continually, strive for and want to be, in our lives consistently. So that's my advice. Don't harbor all your equipment. Don't be like that guy that dies with the most toys, because hey, he's still dead, man, and none of those toys got a chance to get another home or another life out of them. So
wait a minute, that's not true, because Paul will be calling your wife saying, hey, I know that he has a flex, what do you say you give me a good deal on that?
Give you $150 for it.
By the time it happens, the flex will be up to version 20,000 and series 20,000. So yeah, that thing will probably be worth $150, because everything will be just like, here, it's in the air, just touch in the air, or speak into tune to 14250 and add this filter. Yeah, so I and funny thing is we should talk about those plans, like for our futures, like where does our equipment go, and who do we want to pass it on to when we get older down when this podcast is 5 years old, then we'll start to have those conversations and share, what's our exit strategy for our ham radio equipment.
Our exit strategy.
So any last bit you guys want to add to
donate it all to Paul.
Knowing our luck, we'll all get into an accident and we'll all go down and we'll all die at the same time. So then really the equipment goes nowhere. But we'll be doing ham radio. That's what really counts.
Well, my wife at least knows, Google the prices of everything. Don't go off of what I said I paid for it.
Yeah, I know, right? Cool. All right. Well, anything you guys want to throw for?
Be like, I'm lucky he's dead. I'd kill him if he wasn't. He finds out how much.
Take him back up. Yeah, I don't know how some of those YouTubers do this. Like, they sit down with their wives and go, "Hey, well, how much do you think we paid for this?" I'm like, "Are you dumb? Like, do you like stepping in front of the train? Like, does that make you feel good when you do that? Like, do you think that's going to be like one of these haha funny conversations? Thanks for doing the video with me, honey." No, it's going to hurt your wallet.
Look, it's kind of funny, because a guy that he works for UPS, and he has guys in our flying club that will order like planes and stuff, like big boxes, and then he'll pick them up at the distribution in Manchester, like the big warehouse, and then bring them to the field and throw them in the storage container with his name on it. So like you'll open up the storage container and you'll see like 5 planes in there with different people, like brand new in boxes that he snagged so they wouldn't come home. So the wife wouldn't know. That could be a new thing. I could, hey Rick, I got some ham radio stuff coming. You think you could pick it up and drop it off in the container?
Yeah, like what was that one? Jason KM4ACK did that one video with his wife of like, how much do you think I paid for this? And he started with HTs, and then he graduated into the 705, and then like all of his other equipment, and like you could see her face, and I'm like, I wonder how much he really edited out after the fact, and how much he's really paying for it now.
Yeah, because she's being like, I want that.
Yeah, I know how much you paid for that. Let's go out and buy the bag I want. Anyway, well, so that any last bit of advice? Yeah.
Final parting words, right? Don't ever mortgage the house to evolve your shack.
Yep.
Do it
Amen
as you're able to do it. And don't ever get envious of the people who have more stuff than you do, because it accumulates over time and you'll get there.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. Anything else you want to throw in there, Todd?
I'm good. I agree with what Paul said.
All right, well,
it'll accumulate fast enough.
Oh God, does it ever? Does it ever? And never say never, or never accept never not accept anything that people want to pass on to you. It's for a reason, and it's a good reason, because they're trying to escape some pressure from that's being directed at them.
And if you get too old and you go to Nearfest, you'll see what we're talking about.
Oh yes.
Because I look at Nearfest and saying that guy has to get rid of all this crap, or he's sleeping on the couch for the next year till the next Nearfest.
Yeah, or that that collapsible trailer tower that he bought that he's trying to sell for what he paid retail for, and that if you just wait him out, eventually you'll be able to get it for a real good deal, because he ain't going home with it. Okay, well, so there you have it. There's hopefully our shacks and a little bit of our evolution there about how we got to where we are. And, hopefully this advice helps you. And if you got questions, hey, let's pick this conversation back up on our Discord. Go over to our show's channel. If you are on our Discord, let's continue the conversation. Always curious to see how your shacks have kind of evolved. And if you've got your own shack and you want to post it, we got a channel out there on our Discord. I think it's called Show Your Shack. Yeah, it actually is called Show Your Shack. Post your shack out there. Share some photos of your shack. I'm going to take a couple of minutes and post photos of my shack there as well. Hopefully the guys will do the same. And just, you can get some ideas. That's kind of how I built what I have and how Todd kind of evolved his. And I'm sure Paul's got, plenty of YouTube stuff that he's picked up on that he's added to his shack. So, it keeps all of us thinking and all of us iterating and improving our skills and our mind and all of our technical expertise, and as we kind of grow in the hobby. So it's all good. It's all fun. And like I said, we're all in it at the same time. We all talk RF. So it doesn't really matter how you do that or who you do it with. It's still RF. So, all right. With that, let's wrap things up here. So, there are many ways you can connect to us. As always, like I mentioned with our Discord, that's one way you can plug into the community. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you head over there and subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified when we do live streams and other events, because we're planning on a bunch of stuff in the new year. So we all want you guys to be a part of that and aware of things that are going on. And you can always connect with our show by heading over to livefreeandham.com. There's plenty of contact phone information, our podcast, our YouTube channel. There's a whole bunch of stuff up there, including our shop. So pick up some great hats, great shirts, tees, everything. We're always adding stuff. If you got an idea and you want to share it with us, we'll happily make a t-shirt of it. We're always interested and creating some good ham stuff. So, that's one way to pick up some merch. You can always use our SMS link, and that link is in all of our show notes. Just click that from your smartphone, and boom, you can send us a nice review there. Or if you're an Apple iTunes listener, or on any of your other podcasters, because I think really the only place you can leave reviews is Spotify, which I'm not a Spotify member, so if you left one over there, we apologize, because I haven't gone over and looked. Maybe that's where all of our reviews are going, and I just haven't spent time figuring that one out. But, if you have used Apple iTunes or our SMS link, or you can send us an email, livefreeham@gmail.com. And like I said, if you really want to be in the know and you want to get early access to our episodes as we record them, you want to be part of our live chat in our Discord, you can head over, become a Patreon member there. It's starting the lowest $3 a month, and you get a whole ton of stuff, and we're always adding to that. So make sure you check that out and come be a part of some great stuff and have some fun with that. And as always, if you need to reach any of our hosts, you can look us up on QRZ, or you can just head over to livefreeandham.com and click the About Us link, and all of our information there, and you can reach out to us and contact us anytime. And with that, thanks again for listening. And from all of us at Live Free and Ham, 7-3.
7-3.
7-3.